and it's pretty tough during this time, just trying to find that little bit of motivation, especially with school too, trying to balance the two, because it's very different than normal life than going to school and having to go to spring track practice after the day and being able to be with all your friends and like make fun of some of your teammates. You don't really have that, so you just have to find something to hold on to, and for me it's that Chick-fil-A cookie.
Welcome to a Run on Culture podcast, featuring local runners and coaches helping us define a culture of success.
Okay, we are here with Naomi Hillen from Pottsgrove High School. Naomi finished 15th at the PIAA State Cross Country Championship in November and holds a PR of 18:37, which she earned during a win at the Paul Short Invitational White Race. Now, you're in a little bit of a unique situation. You are coming from a soccer background, and you're also part of a very small team. So that's kind of where I'd like to start out. And maybe you could tell us a little bit about who you are and what your team dynamic looks like.
Hi, I'm Naomi Hillen. I'm from Pottsgrove High School, and I'm a junior. And I run cross country, do track, do all of that, and I do play club soccer during the fall and during the spring. And kind of it goes like off and on. And my team dynamic is very small, so it's kind of like a tiny family that we like to call it. And we are very close, and we always run together, and we always work hard off each other and kind of bounce off each other to do the best we can as a small team, because sometimes we can't compete if someone gets injured, and that's really tough to go through.
Yeah, because you had 5 girls on the roster this year. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if one girl misses or one girl's sick, you can't score as a team.
Yeah, I remember we had an injury. She had a stress fracture, and she was in a boot, I believe, and that was really tough because it was a meet we were going to win, and they had to like adjust the rules a little bit, and we had to ask the other coach to kind of help us out and give us a little leeway. But it all worked out in the end. So hopefully we're getting more girls on next year. That's what our goal is.
Coming from Downingtown West, we have a very large team. We had 115 kids on the team this past year. We had, I think, just above 55 girls. So the training, the culture, everything's going to be very different from our perspective to yours. And so one of the reasons I wanted to invite you onto our podcast is to try and understand that culture, understand the training, what that looks like in a smaller team, and how it's helped you still be very successful, and see if maybe some of the fundamental aspects of culture are still present, even if your team is so small. Maybe what you could do is name the 5 girls on your team and tell us maybe a little bit about your teammates.
Okay, so our only senior is Amy Wildermuth. She is the best girl ever. She is so nice, and she has what we call the Amy face, where if like our coach Recton, if he like assigns a workout, she'll just give him the evil eye. So we always make fun of her for that. And then we have 2 freshmen. We have Riley McLaughlin and Noelle Barone. Noelle actually lives down the street from me, so we see each other when we're running, even though we can't run together now with the coronavirus. And then we have my best friend, Calista Faust. She's also on the team. And then myself, she's also a junior. And I love everyone on the team. They're like all the best people ever.
And do you run with the boys at all, or is that completely separate?
I do run with the boys over the summer a lot. And during like cross country camp, I did run with the girls and the boys like once in a while and going back and forth. But I'm still close with with both teams.
Yeah, I know in one interview you had said that one of the deciding factors for maybe choosing cross country over track was that some of your best friends were on the team. And so let's maybe just go a little bit further with the team dynamics here. When you're working out, when you guys do your runs and your workouts, your PR is 18:37. Some of the next girls on your team are in the 20s. How do workouts look? How do they match up?
So I'm not the best at sprinting, but my best friend Calista, she is so good at sprinting. She kind of helps me like push myself when we're running together, especially during track, since I like to do the 800 sometimes, join a relay once in a while. And I don't know, we kind of push each other, and I help her during the long distance, and she's made major improvement with the long distance also. So it's great to see.
Oh, great. So that's great to have someone that you can really work with and help push you to that next level. I know that that's a really important part of it. Now, during coronavirus, you kind of touched on that. Have you been out just doing all the miles yourself? Have you had anybody to run with at all?
I've been running by myself this whole time, just me and my AirPods, listening to music, just creating new playlists all the time. And I have like a ton of places to run, different places to go. And just yesterday, I went up. I have a huge hill I live on, and we call it Big Boy since that's where we run. And it's just straight incline. So I did a hill yesterday and did some sprints up there. So there's lots of different things to do around here.
Getting out there and getting the work in still. Would you say that you're more focused on still trying to run fast, kind of like a pseudo track season, or are you moving into more of a base building phase for cross country?
I'm definitely moving more into a base for cross country. I'm trying to like up my mileage and get used to that and build a base before we start our tempos and hard work for cross country. I try to get between 5 and 6 miles every day, depending on how I feel, because I am doing other like strength workouts and hit workouts that really leave me sore, surprisingly. And I just try to do some striders at the end, lots of stretching, lots of yoga, and try to keep my fluids up during the day.
Would you say that you're more of a strength runner or more of kind of a speed runner? Where do you think your strengths are?
I think I'm more of a girl to just tough it out and really try to fight till the end. I mean, with Paul Short, I was not expecting that at all. And just kind of something came over me. And at the end, just something came through. And I think like more, I just have a little more grit than I do speed. So I try my best to balance both.
Where do you think that grittiness comes from?
Oh, probably from soccer because when I get like upset on the field, I really just try to win that ball back and help my team as best I can. Since I'm a center midfielder, it's kind of like the core of the team. So you have to connect to the front, connect to the back, speak with your goalkeeper. It's a lot of moving parts. So I kind of integrate that into cross country and try to just track the next girl down, keep her in my eyesight, and just don't stop going until you hit the finish line and do your best.
How many times have you kind of been in that position to win a race and dug down deep? It seems to me like a lot. I hear a lot of stories for you where you're just gritting it out at the end, and you seem to kind of always be kicking really, really hard at the finish.
Yeah, that's a strategy that Coach Recton has taught me to stay like right behind the girl, like right off her shoulder. Make sure she knows you're there so she gets a little nervous, but don't go too soon because then you don't want to tire out and then you don't want to feel like you're the one being passed in the end. So I just kind of keep that in mind. And when the opportunity does come, I just go and try my best to win that race.
Definitely a gritty runner for sure. Take us back maybe to when did you really get into running? When did you start to find out that, hey, I have a little talent in this, I like this? When did all that come together for you?
Yeah, freshman year when I just barely made states at districts, I was kind of like, oh, I'm not bad at this. I'm going to states. And then after states, it was super fun. And I like this the time of my life with my friend. And I was just kind of thinking like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to pursue and try to get better at.
And did going to states as a freshman help kind of sell you on cross country over soccer, or are you still maybe pursuing soccer on the side also?
Yeah, I don't compete with the school with soccer, and I did like try to train with them over my freshman year in the summer, like soccer and cross country, but it was too like much stress on my knees. So I was like, I think I'm just gonna do cross country since that's like early in the morning and I get it out of the way. I would just be done with it. And just to add on soccer would be too much. So I do soccer with club and I love it. And I am still pursuing it. I am going to college showcases. I am kind of reaching out to colleges still, but that's kind of slowed down a little bit with the way cross country is going for me.
So are you getting more interest from college coaches for cross country then?
Yeah, definitely the higher level for cross country are reaching out to me. And I noticed that like with letters coming into the school, and it's nice to see how different it is.
Has the missing your junior year outdoor track season, has that hurt at all in the sense of a recruiting standpoint? Have coaches said anything like, oh, we need to get some track times or anything like that?
No, everyone's been super nice and they understand because they're going through the same thing. And they just looking at next cross country season and trying to see where I'm at for that and what I'm doing to train now for that. And they're looking at my past times and trying to gauge where I'm going to be by the end of the summer is going to be tell me everything I need to know.
Have you taken part in any of the virtual races that are going out there right now?
I have not, but I've seen a couple and they look pretty cool, pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely a great concept getting out there and trying to challenge yourself. For a solo run is never easy, but fun to kind of just have something on paper and do something. Let's go into maybe the aspects of training. So a little bit further here. When you are in school, regular cross country season, maybe run us through a typical week of training. Like when's your long run? What style of workouts do you do? If you remember any specific workouts that really stand out in your mind, maybe share that with us.
So we tend to do our harder workouts on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. It can vary sometimes depending on soreness and when we have a race that week. But when we do our workouts, they're usually tempos, or they could be tempos on the track or around the school. And we also do hills right by my house. There's lots of variety to what we do, and it's never the same. We do speed work and we do lots of stretching, and we do get into the weight room a lot to try and vary and kind of keep strong. Like especially with our hips, he's always like making us stretch so we don't get injured.
Yeah, Coach Recton, he's a great coach. Now, with Coach Recton, would you say that and his quote about you was that she doesn't like to lose, which ties into that competitive nature and grittiness that kind of stands out.
I didn't really know what to expect when I first came to the high school for cross country. I just heard that he is a good coach and that he is pretty tough. And when I had him as a coach, like all 3 years so far, I just loved every second. And even though we've had some change in our women's side of the coaches, he's always been like that constant and helping us out. And even though he is like still kind of more like with the boys, he's just like overall like a great coach and always connects us as a team.
Let's talk about that team connection with five girls. What are the things that the five of you do to ensure that you have kind of that team feel and that team culture and mentality?
Yeah, we always have team dinners before our meets and we have a blast and it's so fun, and we make up like songs. We do all these crazy things that like any teenage girls would do. So it's just really we get really close and we're like best friends, and we have our group chats that we make fun of the boys in, and we just have so much fun and like inside jokes.
When you girls are at an event together, like a meet, say it's like Paul Short, and it's a big invitational, and there's only five of you. Do you feel like you pull strength from each other?
Definitely. We always like walk around together before the race, and we always scope out the course. Since we're so small, we can just walk around together and we don't have to split off into different groups. So like if one person has to go to the bathroom, everyone goes to the bathroom. It's just like one person goes, everyone goes with them. So, and we're always telling the freshmen how the meet's going to look like, how the race is going to go, and kind of just telling them not to worry about it. Don't get too nervous. Like everything's going to be fine.
Do you sometimes wish you had a big team?
Yes and no. I've only known my small team, and in soccer too, I've had a pretty small team. Sometimes we don't have a sub or we're sub down, and I just enjoy it a lot more because you just get to know everyone on a personal level, and you just work with each other and you get to talk to everyone about your personal problems, about cross country problems, school. And if I had a big team, I think I wouldn't know what to do. I'd be a little nervous around everyone.
So you also work with Brock Butler, who is a good friend of mine. He and I run together in the mornings sometimes, and an incredibly knowledgeable coach. How is he helping you get to the next level? How is he helping you maybe get a little bit more out of yourself in this sport?
Yeah, last winter he helped me with like my mental game and with running in general, and kind of helping me guide to create a better schedule in the winter to kind of fixate on maintaining like health and maintaining my speed. And he's really been helping me kind of judge how I should run, especially like speed work. I'm trying to like do better in the 800 and in the mile, and he's helped a lot with that and trying to fix my mental game from cross country to those shorter races.
Yeah, I know that we brought Brock in at Downingtown West as a guest speaker at one of our clinics that we have, and he talked all about the mental side of racing, and our kids absolutely loved it. What were maybe one or two of the tips that he gave you to help you with the mental side of racing?
Definitely incorporating like a breathing focus and just focusing on where it's coming from, where it's going, like how you feel when you do it and kind of controlling it. And that's been like really helpful for me, especially like in longer races, since I have something to focus on, not on the pain in my legs, but in how I'm breathing and how it's affecting me.
And have you worked with Brock on any like form or functionality or muscle movement?
Yeah, we took some videos and he would look back at them of me running, of me jumping, of me doing different things and how I can fix those small things to help me in the big run and help me kind of stay like injury free. Even though I haven't really had that many, but it will help in the end with mobility and strength.
Yeah, I think that one of the keys to being successful is consistency. And if you get hurt and if you miss a full season, that's a big setback that is difficult to get over. So staying healthy and doing the prehab is extremely important. Okay, so what I'd like to do next is I'd like to show you 3 pictures. And for each picture, I'd like you to maybe first describe the picture. And then I'd like to have you kind of tell me about the picture and what emotions might be coming with the picture and so on.
Yeah, everyone on my team makes fun of me for this one. This was Paul Short, and that was me really trying to just focus on staying on my toes when I'm sprinting. That's what Callista taught me, and moving my arms. And I was just surprised that I made it that far. And I'm just like, oh my God, everything hurts. I'm dying, but I really want to win. So, and I just thought back to track. I'm like, okay, if I lean at the finish line, I will probably look so stupid, but it might help me. So that's what was going through my head.
You must be separated by less than a second. What did that feel like to cross that finish line first?
Well, I didn't really know at first, and I was just asking like everyone around me and my mom. I'm like, did I win? Did I win? Like, I need to know. I want to know. But kind of, I knew deep down that I think I did just bear her out. And that was really just a crazy feeling because I've never really won like a big race like this against schools I've never seen or ever heard of. So that was really a triumphant moment for me in my career.
And was this your first time under 19 minutes?
Um, no, I think last year districts I ran 18:59, and that was like crazy for me. And then when I ran this 18:37, I was blown away. I was like so surprised.
That's a great time, especially in that white race at Lehigh. It's a big stage. I mean, in this picture we can see tons of people lined the finish course there. And when you did finally find out that you had won and you had won a big race like this, did it put into perspective maybe what you might be able to do on a state at the state level?
Definitely knowing that I can come through at the end and still pass people even when I'm at my lowest, it really showed what I can do, especially on the states course that is pretty tough and challenging with those hills, that like I can always pass people even when I'm in second place or even when I'm like at my worst.
Are you not wearing spikes?
Yeah, these are what actually Brock recommended. Well, my mom saw him wearing them on Facebook and we're like, okay, we're gonna get them. They're ultras, I'm pretty sure, and they're not really like white spikes. They're just like little like tons of nubs like on the end, and they're really breathable. I don't know. They're really cool. I like them.
Not traditional, but definitely seems like it did the job there. So, all right, so let's move on to the second picture.
Just looking at this makes me really nervous since it is a state's course, and I know that they are coming up to a hill. I'm pretty sure the poop out hill is what they call it, since it's right next to the plant. I fell during last year's race, so this like big group of girls always just makes me a little weary. And really excited and just hoping to pass that next like group of girls, since they're always like in these big chunks. You just got to go around them and just keep going.
What girls in this race were you kind of targeting or looking at and saying, hey, I think I can race with her?
I didn't know that many girls in the race, but I knew the Pennsbury girl that I raced with at Paul Short. She was going to be in that race, so kind of to gauge myself, and a couple familiar faces from the like local around here, and kind of just helped me see like, oh, I know them. I've seen them on flow track before. Oh, I've seen them on pen track, and just be like, okay, I know I can beat them. I know I'm faster than them, to just help me kind of gauge where I'm at in the race and where I could be.
Are there any girls in this race or in the state that you're like, try to close the gap between her and I, or I want to start to get to that next level and be at the same level as her?
Yeah, there are some fast freshmen in the pack this year, which caught me by surprise. Claire from OJR and Summer from PV. They're both really fast girls from that are freshmen, and they're so good at what they do. And they've been doing cross country, pretty sure, for like all their life, kind of where I'm like pretty new to it. And I have grit them out in a couple of races, but it's always back and forth with them. So I'm really trying to do my best to chase them down and pass them. But if I can't, I always just think about next race and how I can kind of make myself better.
Okay, and so let's go to the last photograph here. Still the state meet.
Yeah, I remember the girl just behind me. I was always like going back and forth with her during like most of the race, and just kind of beating her at the end felt really good. And I didn't know where I was at all. I knew there weren't that many people getting water in front of me, so I was like, okay, maybe I got top like 30 or something. That's better than last year. So I was just pretty excited that I finished the race and I was done, and that I did better than last year.
Would you say that Hershey is one of the hardest courses you've ever run?
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty challenging mentally and physically, just knowing exactly like every single curve of the course and how many girls are packed on it at the same time is a little nerve-wracking and a little scary.
You'll be the number either 10 or 11 returner next year. What do you think you need to do between now and November to put yourself maybe in the top 5 or maybe higher in the state?
Definitely working on mobility with my shoulders. My mom's always yelling at me when I'm running to like relax my shoulders, because they do like hunch up when I start to run. So I kind of got to work on that, and definitely closing speed. Even when I am tired, I have been getting better at that, and it's been a drastic improvement from freshman year when I had zero closing speed. So it's something I'm always trying to work on, and it's always helpful to have it, especially in a cross country race.
Do you think that specifically in your training, what elements do you think you'll need to address? Are you your mileage? Are you going to go for bigger, harder workouts? Is what do you think needs to happen to maybe close that gap?
Probably more mileage, yes, and definitely when I do tempos, trying to get as many in as I can before I am like maxed out. Since I do over the summer, I like always get so much faster and faster, and I'm running with the boys and I'm like chasing down the boys, and I'm trying to like up that mileage too, just to prepare myself and kind of empty the tank and know what else I still have even when I am like on zero.
Trying to discover that where are you, that threshold, of how hard can I push? Do you try to figure that out in practice?
The hard workouts I do have, I try to maintain like consistency. And he always, Mr. Acton is such like a numbers person, so he'll have like all like his little like measurer and look at everything. And I'll probably up it by like a few seconds each time, depending on like how long the run is, if it's like just a 200 or if it's a 1K or if it's a 2K repeats. I always try to maintain pretty consistent, but if I can, I will do something else after that will contribute and try to help in the end, maybe like strides or something different.
Let's talk about what lessons you have learned. You're a junior, you're going into your senior year. It's a pretty big year for you, possibly a top 10 cross country finish. and on the track. We'll be excited to see what you can do there. What lessons would you say you've learned over the last 3 years that can help guide you in the upcoming senior year?
I definitely say don't let losing get myself down. It's a learning curve and it's supposed to help me. And it'll help me in the end knowing where I came from and where I can go towards. And that's usually pretty helpful. I learned to trust my teammates, especially when they know if something's wrong, and if they tell me, "Oh, maybe you should just sit this one out." They know, and especially my coaches, if I'm not feeling good that day and they can tell and they just say, "Just don't push yourself as hard that day," I should really listen to them because I can always work back at it again.
Are there plans to perhaps compete at Foot Locker or Nike Cross Nationals next year?
Yeah, I competed at regionals last year, and I never really expected to go into that, in the season. It was kinda just for fun, like, "Oh, why not? Let's try it." But I think I'm gonna go do the New Balance one next year for regionals, and I don't know how far it's gonna take me. Nationals seems like a really crazy thing, so we'll see how far that takes me.
If you were giving advice to maybe a 7th or 8th grade girl who is kind of trying to decide between soccer and cross country, what would you tell her?
I would say know how good you are at soccer. If you aren't that crazy good level, try out cross country. It's not going to hurt you. It's only going to help your soccer game if that's really what you care about. And if you don't like long distance, they're probably a good 800 runner. Most soccer players are. So I'd say do track, do something different. Like you could do jumping, just kind of ease into it. And if you do end up liking that more or have more friends on that team, then go for it and just don't look back.
How would you explain cross country to a young girl?
I'd say the first 2 weeks of running, you just can't judge your whole season based on that because those are the worst 2 weeks ever, especially if you're pretty new. And I would say just think about the big races that you're going to have and how much fun they're going to be and how good it's going to feel when you beat those people at the very end. Or maybe it doesn't feel so good and you get past, but that's just how it goes. And just try something new, try something different. You never know how far running is going to take you.
Well, what keeps you interested in running? What keeps you motivated? Even in a time like now where we're in a very unique situation, what keeps you going?
Well, I am a sucker for Chick-fil-A. So my mom lives or doesn't live, she works not that far away. So she'll be like, "Okay, if you run here, we can go get Chick-fil-A. You can get your favorite chocolate chip cookie." And I'm like, "Yeah, sounds like a deal." I will be there in 5 minutes. And just kind of looking forward to how well I've done during cross country and kind of that season. Just trying to find motivation. It's really difficult during this time. I've had some "Oh, I've run for a week straight and I feel like crap. I cannot do next week." But I'm just I really need to. And it's pretty tough during this time, just trying to find that little bit of motivation, especially with school too, trying to balance the two because it's very different than normal life than going to school and having to go to spring track practice after that day and being able to be with all your friends and make fun of some of your teammates. You don't really have that. So you just have to find something to hold on to. And for me, it's that Chick-fil-A cookie.
Are your teammates helping keep you motivated? Are you guys having Zoom meetings or are you connecting on text messages about training or about running?
Yeah, my best friend, Callista, who's cross country track, we just talk to each other about what we've done. We'll take videos during our run and send them to each other and just be like, "Oh, what did you do today for your run?" And she's like, "Oh, I wasn't feeling that good today." And I'm like, "Yeah, me neither." We need to try and fix that and help each other out and maybe do something together to kind of overcome the threshold of how bad our legs feel when we're running and just keep going. I think she's so good at the 800 and she should pursue it, but she's like, "No, I don't really want to. I feel like I'm not that good." But I'm always telling her "You're so much better than you think you are." And her sister went to Pittsburgh and she loves Pittsburgh, so she's trying to follow that for her academics. But I'm always telling her "You're really good at track. You should just keep doing it and keep working at it, because I know you can do something like really good in college.
Speaking of colleges, which college selections are you kind of looking at or milling over?
I don't really have like a specific preference. I'm really like, I don't like, especially when it comes to like school size and like everything about it. I'm like, I don't care. It's fine. But I have been like consistently speaking to Lafayette and Iona and a couple others that I just cannot remember. It's been pretty different than soccer, since I'm so used to talking to like college coaches for soccer. And with cross country, it's just, you can't, it's weird what you talk about compared to soccer, because with soccer they come watch your game and you're like, they pinpoint exactly like what you did and what you could do better and what you did great and what they're going to change when you come to your program. And with cross country, they just watch your race. They can't watch the entire thing, and especially if there's video, that doesn't do it justice. So if they did see me like at Paul Shore at the very end, that's kind of like what helps like catalyst my career with college and them kind of reaching out to me, which I thought was pretty cool. So it's really different how you approach the game of cross country versus soccer for college.
I think getting that win at Paul Shore on a big stage is really important, and getting that opportunity to have it be kind of a at the finish line kick. It adds a little drama to it, a little story, and
Yeah.
definitely sparks some interest. So I want to talk just culture for a little bit longer here. And I want to dive into your team's culture, or how you see culture.
Culture is like a family style motivation for me and my team. Just having that small group, it just shows, and the bonds that we have with each other, especially with the boys team and with our coaches too. We like are very close with our coaches. We have like secret handshakes and everything. And that close knit culture of just being able to go to them for anything, whether it's personal problems, just helps you in the running aspect.
How does having someone to lean on or to share some of your nerves, fears, how does that help?
Yeah, especially after districts last year, it was not a good race for me, and my mom was kind of like disappointed a little bit, and I was just like not having it. And my best friend Callista didn't do good either. So we just found bleachers to sit on and we just started like crying together. And I don't know, we just let out all of our emotions that we've had from like all this whole season, and just trying to picking each other up. And our best friend Patrick on the boys team was also having struggles with trying to transfer from JV to varsity and trying to show the coaches that his worth. And our coach came along, Coach Crater, our girls coach, and she just understood everything and was able to just tell us what to do. And I went over and cried on Mr. Recton's shoulder, and he just knew exactly what to do and exactly how to handle Callista and I. And it was really just a special moment.
Do moments like that help further your development as a runner?
Definitely knowing like how low I can get and being able to rise from that and like do so well at states really shows that even though I just don't feel good that day, and there's always something better to come, and just not to harp on that one bad moment.
When we think about culture and we talk about some of the importance of sense of belonging and making people feel like they are important and that they belong, how does Pottsgrove help to make each member of your team feel important and feel like they belong?
Yeah, our principal is very supportive of our little tiny team, and we have morning announcements every day. Well, when we were in school, and Mr. Recton would submit like our stats and how we did, and it would just be like a little paragraph about like kind of how each runner did and how the race went and how the team did. And it's really nice to be kind of like honored and special like that. And he's always like coming, taking pictures of us, kind of supporting us at our meets at our senior nights. So it's always special just to have that connection with someone at the school that is not just your coach.
Maybe to describe your school to us. What is Pottsgrove High School like?
Pottsgrove High School it's pretty interesting. There's lots of different groups and lots of different things that you can go towards. Like for cross country, other people are in band, like a lot of people are in band and cross country, so they kind of a little band group of cross country, like little subgroups that come down. And Calista and I are part of a leadership team at an arboretum that's close by. So we kind of like have a subgroup, and it's like a descendant line because our seniors that graduated were also part of that group. So it's kind of just like follow suit in everyone's footsteps. And it's really cool how you can get so attached to what other people do, especially at Pottsgrove, since we're all so close. And it's just a nice, especially the building is really nice too.
Who are some of the senior runners or girls before you that might have influenced you or helped you out along the way? And what advice might they have shared with you that was meaningful?
So Megan Serpak, she graduated last year and she goes to Gettysburg and she's running cross country there. She is just like amazing person, and just everything about her. She struggled with so many injuries, but still being able to overcome them and do great during track or doing cross country really just showed me that you can always overcome whatever feels like terrible. And Molly Neeson, she graduated also last year. She goes to Scranton and runs cross country there. She's like so smart. She was second in the class. She got this great scholarship from Scranton, and she gave great academic advice. And she's really someone I can lean on, whether for cross country or for academics. And Chloe Sullivan also graduated last year, and she was part a lot of the special needs programs, and just showing like the courageous spirit she has just is amazing how great of a person she is. She's like the perfect human being, and just trying to follow in their footsteps really helps.
Those girls would be very happy to hear those nice things you said about them. I think that was nice. Okay, so we like to close out our podcast with just a rapid fire 3, 2, 1. And so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions and just kind of give the answers as best you can here. Our first question is your top 3 high school running memories.
Okay. Number 1, crying on the bleachers with my best friend. Number 2, team dinner at my house when it was pouring rain and we went to the cemetery. Number 3, handshakes with Mr. Recton and Donut Fridays with Coach Crater.
Donut Fridays, you'll have to expand on that. What's that?
So Coach Crater, every Friday, she brings in these awesome donuts from Redner's. Like, I didn't know they had such good donuts. Vanilla sprinkled is the best. And it's for upperclassmen. And they just come to her classroom, grab a donut, and just talk about their day with her. And she always hides the good ones for Calista and I in, like, the little cabinet. And we just sneak them and steal them. It's like a little mission we have.
That sounds like a great element of building culture right there. Let's talk then about 2 regrets that you have so far in your high school career.
Letting my emotions get the better of me during a race and thinking I'll do better. Whenever, like before race, I think I'm going to do 10 places worse. It's kind of like a little stigma I have. And then I always do good in the race. But if I think, oh, this is easy, like I'm going to get first, I do horrible. So I just have to like know that I'm going to do worse, but really in like the long run, I'm going to do good.
Cross country and running is such a mental sport. And I think that a lot of people share those nerves of, okay, well, I'm going to play so bad in this and then kind of come out. And I know there's been a lot of times where personally I've gone to a race and been like, oh, okay, this is going to be easy. I'm just going to go out there. And somebody that you weren't expecting, somebody that, has been secretly doing some great training, just comes out and can really run great. So you've got to always be on top of your game and prepared. The last one that we have then is a goal that you have for the future.
Commit to a college for cross country. That's probably my one goal. Yeah. I don't know which one, but yeah.
When you commit to a college for cross country, is there any non-negotiables that you have? Anything that you're like, it's got to be East Coast, or it has to be a big school, or?
Yeah, I don't have like any preference. It's terrible, especially like when we go out to eat. My mom's like, where do you want to go? I don't care. Definitely some place that has a great environmental program and with a really close-knit team. Since I'm so used to a small team, I think it'd be really difficult for me to go somewhere that has like 100 girls on a team. And I just want that family culture, family aspect that I always want and always love. And definitely, I don't care where it is, but maybe someplace a little warm in the winter, not too cold, because I am so sick of the cold.
Division One might be an option too, or are you thinking Division Three is an option?
Yeah, before when in like middle school, I was like, I don't want to go Division One. That's too much like work and pressure. But now that like I know there's different levels of Division One, basically, like it's not like a huge giant commitment, like your whole entire life is dedicated to cross country. It's just like something like a family thing that you do. And I definitely would love to go Division One. I feel like that'd be kind of any athlete's dream to do that.
Okay, my last question for you, I'm adding one on here. What trait or aspect of you makes you so successful?
Probably my humbleness.
And why do you think being humble helps you?
Yeah, coming from a small team, and it's just I can't like brag to the other girls on team like, "Look, I got 1837. Like, you're terrible." Like they love me for me, and I love them for them. And when I do a great race, they reward me so much. And when they do a great race, I'm right back at them, just hugging them, being there for them, and just loving them the same. And just with the boys, they're always making fun of me, like, "Oh, you're faster than us." Like that's annoying. And it's just staying humble is just something that I always need, and it's always helpful even in other aspects of life, not just running.
You sound like a fantastic teammate, and it sounds like you've got a great culture there at Pottsgrove. I'd like to thank you again for coming on our podcast and being a part of A Run on Culture.
Thank you.